If you've gone through any kind of challenging things in life, it could be difficulty with your business, it could be a personal relationship, whatever it is, turn it around and make it your drive, make it the thing that makes you get up and go harder. Ryan always told me this phrase, and it was to bite down on the gum shield. If you take a hit, then you get up and you hit back harder. That's what he always said. If there's anything that you're going through, if there's any kind of difficulty, fight back harder, you know.
Welcome back to another episode of Rec Talk. I'm your host, Nitin Sharma, founder of RecTools.io. For those of you who don't know, RecTools is the only whole-of-market directory of recruitment suppliers into your recruitment business or your talent acquisition team. So head to RecTools.io to find out more about that. Today's episode, as you can see, is being filmed at the Firefish HQ. I have the absolute honour and pleasure of hosting Ryan McCabe, and today's episode is going to be dedicated to Ryan McCabe. On the way up here, I was actually thinking about how am I going to introduce this, and do I want to put a monologue in and that kind of. And I thought, no, actually, do you know what? The fact is, I met Ryan only on a couple of occasions, very sort of briefly, swiftly at things like the expos and stuff like that. And every time, it was always a positive interaction, and I was blown away by kind of like the gravitas that this guy had, and everyone seems to, have nothing but positive things to say about him. But also, I'm more fully aware that there's a lot of people there who don't really know about him outside of Odro. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to honour that. So first of all, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be asked. And yeah, I'm more than happy to speak about Ryan as much as you like.
So how are things at the minute? So for yourself, for the kids?
That's a question to start with.
Tough.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
we're going to get there eventually.
Yeah,
right? Let's start there, and then we'll move on to good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So it's. I'm not going to lie. It's a struggle. Like losing Ryan was, incomprehensible. Do you know, anyone that did know him, and I think the industry felt this as well, as his family and friends. Like, it's like the superhero. It's like James Bond. You know, you think he's going to go, but he never does. He manages to claw his way back, and that was Ryan. So to wrap your head around what's happened is, it's really difficult. So the family, our three boys and myself, like it's difficult every day. It's still raw, it's still fresh, it's not, we're still quite in denial at times, but also life moves, so we're trying our best to take it a day at a time.
I imagine that's the toughest part though, isn't it? Because I remember when my dad passed, it was sort of put on me, right, to be the guy that was there for my mom and the rest of the family, because dad was like the patriarch of this, big Indian family.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks later was Diwali, and my kids are looking to me like, Daddy, can we do this? And we're doing fireworks, we're doing this, that, and the other. And then, a month after that was Christmas, and it kind of like you sort of feel like, I haven't had a time to just process this. Like, what's let me have a bit of my time. But when you people look to you. From where I'm sitting, I think you've done an incredible job of sort of highlighting his legacy, because the race for Ryan, the 5K a day, it's everybody is still talking about him and stuff. What drives that? What's the is that part of the healing process?
I think Ryan drives it. I feel like he lives on in me. Like if this was to have happened before the person that I was before this, I wouldn't have coped with it. I'd have been that person that couldn't get out of bed, so I know that option's always there, but I just try to think, I've got three sets of eyes looking at me all the time, and now they've only got me to look at. So, and Ryan was the best example to the boys. Like, he was their absolute idol. Like, they treasured every minute that they had with him. He was best dad ever. So I feel like I now have to be both of us,
Mm-hmm.
And whilst there's times for me to have my moments of, like I don't block it out, I embrace it. Someone said to me recently, in fact it was at the expo, I think because I put such a good show on at times, they say, like, when do you fall apart? Like, when does all this come down? And the answer is all the time, to be honest. Like, it never goes away. You just have to find a way of living alongside it, and it becomes part of you. So yeah, there's there's mixtures of the person that I was before and letting the grief in, but there's also Ryan in there now and dealing with things in the way that he would, and he was incredibly resilient, you know. Um,
Yeah,
he
it's almost another way to honour him by kind of being like,
Yeah.
well, how would he have dealt with something like this?
Yeah,
I've
it's
got
like
to
there's
do
no
that.
choice. Like
Yeah.
that's what he always taught. You know, there's just like there's no other option, and it's like, you know, the 5K a day in May. Like I was never a runner at all, and I just think, you know, like, but Ryan did it. You know, he was in competition with himself, but everyone else in Audro dropped out after a week, and he was the only one that was left. But he carried on to compete with himself because that he just showed up for himself, and I think that level of resilience, of dedication, you know, like when there's no other choice. And that's what I think in my head. There's no other choice, you know. I need to set an example to the boys because they look at me. So everything that I do now, the drive that I've got, the way that I'm carrying on with things, with the life that we had built together and the things that we'd planned, you know, like it's Ryan that's pushing it, and that's his legacy. Like he's in here, so everything that I do, hopefully people that knew Ryan can see him shine through that. You know, I speak to family, I speak to his mum, and she feels like she's speaking to him sometimes when we have conversations because I'm saying
You're
things
just
that
so
he would have said.
entwined. Yeah.
Yeah, we were literally like we were one person. That's what it was like. So yeah, I think I just lean on knowing what he would do in situations, and that's what keeps me driving forward with.
Where did you guys meet?
So we actually went to high school together.
Are you high school sweethearts?
Yeah,
That makes
no.
no, oh no, you're
No,
not.
no,
Oh,
no, no,
okay.
no. We met in high school. God, I've known Ryan since he was like 12. Oh, he was such a nice boy in school, but he didn't fit in that well in high school. Do you know, it just wasn't really the place for him. He struggled like with attention, with behaviour. He's actually really, really clever, and I think that was a lot of his problem. Like he was seen as the class clown, and he played up on misbehaving because actually the work was so easy for him. He'd done it in 5 minutes. Like he wasn't being challenged. So yeah, school. I mean, we were friends, but we were never ever together in school. It wasn't until we were older, early 20s, we got together. And but yeah, that's how I've known him. So I feel like I've always known him. I feel like I've seen him from, you know,
Well,
being a
you've
kid
watched
right
him
through.
go from
Yeah.
I said
Yeah.
that in my my kind of wedding vows, right? Me and my wife are high school sweethearts, got together at 16, and yeah, you watch this person kind of go through a metamorphosis of like you were, well, certainly from her point of view, I was this immature kid to this kind of young adult trying to find his way in the world,
Yeah.
to then like, oh crap, I'm a dad now and I need to like step up and actually, you know, make responsible decisions with my
That's
life.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like we built that together because we'd known each other for so long. So yeah, it's good that I was so much part of his life. Do you know, like as much as he was 34 last year when the accident happened, like he had lived the life of 5 people. Do you know, like what I'd seen, the changes he'd gone through, the way that he'd bettered himself. You know, like everything that we'd built up. It's more than some people achieve by the time they get to their 60s, 70s. So yeah.
Talk to me about the boys. They were like, there's a lot of similarity between kind of everything I've heard about Ryan and the way that I live my life. Like I always say to everybody that like all of this is just something I do. Like
Yeah.
the only purpose, my only purpose on this planet is to be a dad to those 2 girls, and that's it. You know,
Yeah.
everything else is sort of secondary and tertiary, and that seems to be the ongoing kind of dialogue that comes out about Ryan and all those incredible videos that the guys at Audro put out every single time. Every time as well. Like,
Yeah.
get me every time as well. And
They're so good at
yeah,
it.
oh, they are.
Aren't
They really are. I mean, that's what they should probably be doing for it. You know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But honestly, yeah, it's incredible to see. So tell me about that kind of. Was he one of those people that was always just a dad waiting to have kids, or did it kind of, shit, I've got this life that now relies on me, I need to change?
I think Ryan was born to be a dad. He's so good with kids, like and Cameron, Kier and Jacob, you know, like they're just the absolute apples of his eyes. Like he was so hands on with them, and he, you know, he would beat himself up with the whole work life balance, and it's obviously difficult being a CEO, and the bigger the company grew, the more the demands were, the travelling and stuff. But honestly, he never missed a sports day, he never missed a parents' night, he never missed, you know, standing at football practice 3-4 times a week. He always showed up for them, and honestly, they were the complete centre of his universe. Like they were what it was all for. Me and the boys is what he lived for.
You've done an incredible job of like honouring his legacy. You know, when you see things in print and stuff, and it's often sort of summarised with things like, you know, this person is survived by. That is so true with what you're doing for him, and like certainly from like the outside looking in, it's incredible to see. But are you giving yourself that time to kind of heal and, you know, deal with the waves of emotion that come in, because they do, they come in waves, and you know, and it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to have all these emotions. But you know, what advice would you give to people out there that are going through that? You know, you're giving yourself that time and that time to reflect and
Yeah, I try to, but life is incredibly busy, and that's the way that I like it, you know, because there's work, but there's also all the things that I'm doing for the Ryan McCabe Foundation. I set up to carry on his legacy, to help people, because that was Ryan's thing, you know, like he helped everyone. He was like the resident superhero. Everyone that knew him, you know, friends, family, if anyone had a problem, whether it was a puncture or a breakdown of a marriage or whatever it was, like they phoned Ryan. He was the guy. He was the guy for everyone. Um, so I wanted to carry that on, you know, like I wanted to continue helping people in his name. So the foundation takes up a lot of time. You know, the Run for Ryan was a huge event, hopefully even bigger next year. You know, we're going to do it annually. We've got a charity ball coming up in October. So all of these things are carrying on his legacy, and all that gives me my energy. So that's where happiness comes from now, aside from being a mum to the boys. Happiness comes from doing things that make me feel close to Ryan.
I love that. Tell me more about the foundation then. So what's the sort of vision with that?
So, I mean, the vision just now is just, you know, we support charities that were close to Ryan's heart. He was a big advocate for charities that supported children, that supported mental health, you know, like little charities, not your usual big ones that get a lot of support globally, but the little ones that affect families directly. So just now, any money that's gathered, you know, goes into the pot of the foundation, and we're going to wait until the end of this year once our sort of main events are by with, and then we'll sort of divvy the money up. We'll announce what charities get however much, and hopefully one day it'll continue to grow throughout the years, and then one day it might be something that the boys want to take over. You know, we might specifically do our own charity work, but just now it's just about supporting charities that meant a lot to Ryan. Because as I say, it's carrying on helping people. He helped so many people. That's one thing that's came since his accident, is the amount of people in the industry that have reached out and said, you know, I wouldn't have built this business. You know, I met a guy recently, a friend of Ryan's, that they'd met and talked business, not in recruitment, just generally. CEO similar to Ryan, had a vision, a start-up, and it went from 0 to millions within 5 years. He sold the company, made a huge success, and yeah, he's now so secure and happy in his life. And when I met him, he said, Ryan gave me his playbook, and he said, like, do X, Y, and Z, and it will work for you. And he said, I wouldn't have exited my company if it wasn't for following Ryan's advice word for word. And that, to know that Ryan's made that difference to that man, to his family, to his employees, you know, because it's not just the person at the top. When you sell or you take private equity or whatever it is, it's benefiting the whole company. So to know that he helped people like that, you know, he would send books out in the post to people. If he's seen somebody in LinkedIn saying that they needed advice, you know, he was lift up the phone. He just helped so many people, and hearing all those stories, just that's what keeps me going. That's what drives me. That's where I find happiness now, because I don't have the happiness that I had before in having Ryan standing next to me, but I still feel like he's all around.
He's all around you.
That's it. It's people coming with me to stories. So that's what I would say. Like, don't, you know, I think a lot of people in this situation who don't know me, they've never met me before, but they've got something to say about Ryan. They might feel a bit awkward or a bit unsure. You know, I've had so many messages on LinkedIn or emails or, you know, whatever. and it's people saying, I've wanted to get in touch, I've not known what to say, but, and honestly, that means the world. Like, hearing from people like that, it's better to say something than to say nothing at all. So I want people to keep coming to me, do you know? Yes, it's awkward. People don't know the right thing to say. You say you're sorry, like, I appreciate
You
it.
kind of almost want it to be awkward, though, in the sense that you know, I wouldn't want to live in a world where people are absolutely comfortable in approaching that sort of, you know, do you know what I mean?
It's difficult. It's a bit like,
the level of
it's like the
uncomfortableness.
unspoken
That's it.
thing,
That
you
level of
know?
uncomfortableness, I think, speaks from like a place of like, you know, modesty and kindness. You know,
People don't want to upset you.
that's it.
People don't want, like, if I see someone in person, they don't want to say anything because they don't want to upset me. Nothing can upset me now. Like, I've been through the absolute worst things imaginable. Not just the trauma of the accident happening, but all the repercussions of that. And it's still going on today. So, yeah, you might make me shed a tear, but it's not, it's nothing in comparison, you know, and it actually might be a tear that causes a feeling of comfort in the end. So yeah, that means a lot to me. People still talking about Ryan is a huge thing. I want people to keep talking about him. I'll keep talking about him forever because it's what keeps me feeling close to him.
It's what keeps them around as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There comes a point where, you know, somebody's mentioned or somebody's spoken about for the last time, and I think that the ultimateness of that is the bit that sort of, I mean, I said that as sort of part of my eulogy at my dad's funeral, right? You know, we've got to keep him alive by talking about him, because the minute we stop talking about him, that's when he will disappear into the vastness of the universe, and you know, and it's like, no, that's not. We don't want to do that yet, you know. How strong have the boys been?
Kids are so resilient, and that they just take things in their stride, you know. And talking about carrying on, it was my middle boy's birthday a week after the accident, so that was difficult. But he allowed himself to have fun, you know. The birthday party that we planned for him still went ahead, and they just, kids allow themselves to escape. They allow themselves to go into play, and you know, like, or they find therapy in kicking a football or whatever it is, something that takes them away from the moment. But it doesn't mean that their loss is any less, or that they've forgotten about it. Obviously, there's a lot of feelings you have to deal with. Kids feel anger, there's outbursts, but at the end of the day, they feel love at the same time. They feel love from everyone in the family. So it's keeping, it's just checking in with them all the time, you know. Like, they're so strong. My boys are so strong, exactly like Ryan, you know. They just, he brought them up like that as young as they are. He instilled that sort of toughness in them. Not that they can't be upset and that they can't feel sadness, but at the same time, they still need to show up, and they still need to be accountable, you know. They can feel anger, they can feel sadness, they can feel joy, but we need to just channel them the right way, and they're so good at doing that, and they keep me on check a lot of the time.
I bet they do. Yeah, I bet they do.
They're amazing.
Oh, I love that. Tell me some fun stories about Ryan. Things that
oh God, we'll be here all day. Fun stories about
for people who won't know him and you know, won't necessarily have come across this sort of stuff. Because everybody I speak to has got a really fond memory that jumps out about him, you know. Share some of those if you don't mind.
So I think in terms of business, everyone who knows Ryan or who knows the story of Odro and how he's built it up, like, they'll know that Ryan's a good salesman. And that goes far back. So in high school, he would like make fake bus passes and sell them, and that's my memories of Ryan. You know, Ryan, who got put out of the classroom most days and had a little individual desk in the corridor, but he was out there making his fake bus passes and selling them. So actually, who was the clever one? What else did he do? So yeah, sales. I mean, Ryan could sell anything to anyone. I mean, we've been out before. We went to a lovely place near Loch Lomond with friends years and years ago, and walked quite far to find the pub. Got dark, so the walk back was a wee bit impossible. It turned out there was no taxis in this small village. So Ryan said, "Don't worry, I'll sort it." So left us in the pub and away he went, and he came back with 10 life jackets and told us that he'd managed to get a rib that was going to take us across the loch. And yeah, he'd convinced this guy who had some Boy Scouts out for the day, and he was just getting ready and packing up. Ryan had convinced him to take us home. So I mean, yeah, stories like that. I mean, he's got a service bus to take us home from a night out before, because again, no taxis. We were in the middle of nowhere, and there was an out of service bus going home to park at the depot for the night, and Ryan flagged it down and managed to talk nicely to the lady driving it, and him and his pals get a run home from the pub. Yeah, so a really, really great salesman. That's the thing, you know. He's just most of his funny stories come down to sales and his ability to just charm. Exactly. He was so charming, and everybody saw that. Everyone that knew him saw that, which I'm glad about. I mean, he charmed me like day in, day out, but he charmed everyone, you know. He walked
Took
in,
a bit
and
more than making bus passes, though. Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, it was like everyone's favourite person in a room, you know. Anytime we'd meet anyone new, when it was the early days and he was meeting like my side of the family or friends or whatever, within minutes it was like, oh, Ryan's the best thing ever. We love Ryan, like, and that was that. Yeah, that was just him. So yeah, endless funny stories. Probably not many more that I could share.
Yeah.
On a video, but yeah, if you meet me in person, I'll tell you.
So, one of the things I wanted to, and I'll ask you because you know I can't ask him, but on the podcast that we had booked in together, I was going to ask him about the concept behind Audro. You know, either he had a crystal ball and could see into the future and go, oh, by the way, there's going to be a period of time where people need video interviewing software, so we're going to make it. Or, you know, something obviously drove that, because he was recruitment to start with, right? And tell me about that sort of leap of faith in himself, and then your perspective on that as well, from you know, being his wife, going, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you know, recruitment might be boring, but it pays the bills pretty well. What the fuck are you doing over here? What's this? Yeah,
definitely. So he wasn't actually always in recruitment. He left school. I mean, Ryan done so many things. He got an engineering qualification. What else did he do? So actually, when we got together, he was a full-time DJ, as in Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. That's what he would do.
Brilliant.
I mean, yeah.
Which at the time, I'm sure for you was like, oh my God, I'm going out with a DJ.
No,
like,
not at all. No, it was so embarrassing.
Okay,
definitely.
Fairs.
Never wanted to go to any clubs that he was DJing in. No thanks. But yeah, so that was him. He would actually go out.
You started going out with him in spite of the DJ career rather than because of it.
I was the breadwinner at the time. Absolutely.
So, right. Yeah. So were you trying to fix him then? Was that were you one of those? Like, oh, look at this.
I mean, I
remember him, the scraggly kid that used to sit outside making everyone laugh, and now he's a DJ.
I probably played a part in encouraging him to get out the house more, because I would come home from work and he'd still be in bed watching Michael Jackson documentaries and eating a Domino's pizza. Don't know, 4 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. So yeah, he didn't.
I think they call that work-life balance.
I mean, I bet he would have liked to have gone back to that one day. So he done DJing, he done loads of things. He got into recruitment because he realised, I think I think someone had actually placed him in a job, and he found out that the recruiter got such a massive fee for finding him, and he's like, wait a minute, this seems like easy money, because he was such a good salesman. So to him, it just seemed like recruitment is sales. I can do this. You know?
Yeah.
So he got into that, and he did love it. You know, bit of a bad partnership. The person he went into business with, that didn't end too great. By default, he met Bill Schooler, who at the time had exited from GSPC and had this idea. He'd basically, him and a software developer, Mark Beebe, now who's the complete brains behind Odro software, they had sort of built it's actually online dispute resolution organisation. So that's what Odro stands for. And it was basically software for lawyers to use, so that people didn't have to be face-to-face.
Fascinating, right.
So kind of like Zoom in a law setting. So, you know, if people have got a dispute, if it's 2 people fighting against each other, they appear on video, and that's fine. But it just didn't make business sense. Like Bill was struggling to sell it. Mark had built this great software, but Bill was struggling to sell it because there just wasn't the demand there. So they met at this networking event, and Bill explained it to Ryan, and Ryan was like, I can sell that. Like, I've got an idea because I'm in
Of course you can.
recruitment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in recruitment, and I think that would be a great asset to the recruitment industry. And this is like way before Zoom and things like that. You know, people didn't do videoing back then. So, yeah, it seems like a good idea. And then lockdown hit, and at the time that was like catastrophe. Yeah, they just hired a videographer at the time though to go in and make all these fun videos that they do, and
Uh-huh.
their whole brand and everything took a hit because they were like, wait a minute, we can't all be in the same room together. And
Yeah.
so as much as like video was great for recruiters, but them actually working as the software company was
Yeah,
difficult.
it wasn't quite ready to. Yeah.
Yeah. So but actually in the long term, you know, it was beneficial. Everybody there was a need for video technology there for recruitment. So it happened not by default, but it just kind of organically grew. It was never a master plan. It was never Ryan setting out to say, let's build video
I see the
software.
future here.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It was like all
Just
these little stepping
somebody
stones
built something
led
that
to
didn't quite work in their sector, presented it to him, and he went,
exactly.
I could do this.
And
Yeah.
it was like the dream team when the three of them got together, you know,
Amazing.
Bill and Mark and Ryan, and it was a completely equal partnership between the three of them, you know, like they were, it was just the dream team. And then it started to grow, and it started to grow quite quickly. Doogie came on board, Doogie
Yep.
Loan, and yeah, it skyrocketed. And honestly, it was just to see, like, it wasn't work to Ryan, you know, like it was the first time that actually Ryan always enjoyed everything that he did. He always said he could never have a boss. So he'd done his apprenticeship, he became an engineer, but he hated having to work for someone. So
Right.
that's why that fell by the wayside, and he carried on with the DJing in the meantime, because he just, it's the same with school, you know.
It's a good way to meet girls.
Well, I hope not. So yeah, I think he just had that desire to always be his own boss.
Yeah.
So when this came up, it was like it was perfect for him, because he was his own boss within the trio. You know, he was the one that could go away and sell it, and Mark was in charge of building the tech, and Bill was there bringing in all the grants, and you know, really building up the brand behind the scenes. So yeah, that's where it all started.
There you go. And how involved are you now with Odro? Have you had to, in the way that you've had to sort of fill the void, and fill the void sounds silly. I'm going to rephrase that. You know, the way you have to now be both mum and dad.
Yeah.
And you know, you have to be both daughter-in-law and son to in-laws and that kind of thing. Have you had to sort of fill the Odro piece as well?
I've not, because they're such an amazing team. Like what Ryan built there, the culture, you know, it's so magical. It's like nothing that I've seen in the short time that I've been in the industry, but you know, they're like a family. So when Ryan left there last year, you know, they all just pulled together. Like people started mucking in and doing all sorts of things that was way above the call of what they were usually expected to do, but they just did it, you know. And it's still the same now, you know. They're going on, they're hiring some people now, and they don't need me, you know. They don't need me. I'm sure they'll tell you that they need Ryan, but also they've been functioning without Ryan, and I think that's just more of a testament to what he created there, you know. Bill exited the company a few years ago, but they've still got Mark, and he's very much stepped up, and as much as he's CTO, he's still adopting a lot of the responsibilities that Ryan had as CEO, and yeah, they're just really pulling together. Don't get me wrong, I'm there, like, I'm so sentimentally attached to Audro. Like, I really, really want it to do well. I want it to thrive. I want it to carry on building. I'll shout about it forever, but it's not my baby, you know. It was Ryan and Bill and Mark's, and the next thing for me that Ryan had created alongside me was Greenback Group. So that's what I need to put most of my energy into, but I'll still champion Odro if they need anything from me ever at all. You know, I'm there.
Tell me about Greenback Group. That's a mouthful for me.
It's a bit of a tongue twister, isn't it?
Probably not for you. For someone like me, yeah, it is.
Well, I tell you how the name came about.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
So Ryan and Dougie actually, and his wife Charlene and I, we love the programme Suits. I don't know if you've seen it.
Suits, yeah.
So Suits, absolutely loved it. You know, when it was on, and it was like that stage where it was an episode a week, we would all be, you know, Ryan and Dougie would be texting each other
Greenback
like, "Can you
Boogie.
believe that just happened?" Greenback Boogie. So Ryan and Dougie were the kind of Mike Ross and Harvey Specter partnership. So that's where it came about. Ryan came up with the name Greenback Group because he just thought, you know, Greenback, it's money, isn't it? It's making money from something that is lacking in the industry. You know, it's basically networking, intimate networking for C-suites of recruitment companies. And he done a lot of that through Odro. He brought people together for networking events, but at the same time it was over and above his job list. So it was an extra thing on his plate, and he just thought, you know, you could do this.
Yeah.
Here's the network, here's everyone. Like, so many people want to meet face to face, so many people want to get together because actually the industry's changing. People don't want to be, you know, sitting in their glass houses looking as if they're doing amazing. Like, they actually want to talk and say, no, actually this is my struggle, can anybody help me with
validation on that. I'm going to turn this off because I know for a fact my mum's going to end up ringing me in a minute. No, but you're right. They seek validation and sort of trend,
and it's just working together.
Is this just me? Is everyone else feeling this way? And absolutely.
And because there's so many issues in the industry just now, and with AI coming in, like, there's so many changes that actually I think a lot of people are struggling to navigate it. And why struggle on your own? That was Ryan's thing. He struggled on his own with a lot of things, being a CEO. He benefited a lot from the relationships that he built up with other like-minded people in similar situations to him that had good advice to share. So that's literally what Greenback Group does.
Here's what worked for me. Let me now turn this into a thing for other people to benefit from. Which again is all part of the ongoing legacy, right? That
was basically him giving back. You know, if he was here, he would have had a bit to do with it. You know, like when we have events, he might have chaired some meetings, he might have attended some, because he had so much expertise to share. So it's a way of carrying on what he would have done if he was here. You know, if I can get people together in a room, if they can leave feeling better for it and having gained something,
big tick.
Exactly. And that's what Ryan would have done. So as long as I'm doing things that he would have done, then that's where happiness comes from.
I love that. I want to thank you. This has been really good, eye-opening. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Any closing thoughts, anything you want to leave us with, any pearls of wisdom?
I just have to laugh when you say that, because honestly, if you were to tell me a year ago that I'd be sitting here with you recording a podcast being asked for pearls of wisdom. Oh God, Ryan, all these things happen in life now, and I just look to the sky and I think, Ryan, what have you done to me?
Stop fucking pranking me.
Like,
leave me alone.
enough. No, but on a serious note, thank you for having me. And I would just say to anyone that's listening, if you've gone through any kind of challenging things in life, you know, it doesn't need to be the loss of someone. It could be difficulty with your business. You know, maybe things aren't going to plan. It could be a personal relationship. Whatever it is, turn it around and make it your drive. Make it the thing that makes you get up and go harder. Ryan always told me this phrase, which I said in his eulogy, because Ryan had these sayings and I thought he said them to a lot of people, and it turns out this one was reserved for me. And trying to build up resilience, and it was to bite down on the gum shield. That's what he said. You know, Ryan loved boxing, so that's probably where it stemmed from, but it just means that, like, if you take a hit, then you get up and you hit back harder. That's what he always said. Bite down on the gum shield. When you feel like things are getting hard, just bite down and go back harder. So honestly, if there's anything that you're going through, if there's any kind of difficulty, if there's anything that's keeping you down or making you feel like you can't get out of bed in the morning, fight back harder, you know, because you only get this one life and you need to make the most of it, and you don't know when it's ever going to end, you know. As I said at the start, this was unbelievable. Like, this was the superhero dying, because the superhero never
Yeah, they're not
dies.
supposed to. Yeah.
No. So if you can take anything from what I've said, it's just to bite down in the gum shield and go harder.
I love that. Thank you so much. Honestly, really appreciate this.
Thank you. Thanks for
I know
having
this
me.
couldn't have been easy. So, but yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all from us, guys. Thank you for watching, listening, liking, subscribing, doing all the cool shit that you guys do to keep us number one. New episodes drop every Wednesday and every Friday. That's all from us. We are out.
Hi everyone, it's Ryan McCabe here from Audro. Just a quick video. We thought, since we're a video technology company, we better do a video job description. We're hiring. We're looking for, at the moment, we're looking for another 4